Hey guys, it's Equinox, and it's going to be a video pretty much preparing for push week, giving you guys some big tips, and yeah, pretty much everything you need to know for brew going into push week. I'm gonna go over my stats, damage tips, survival tips, and I'll probably might make a separate video on routing tonight since I'm making my new push week routes tonight. So if people are interested in the push week routes, I'll be making a video about that. All right, so first things first, stats. What am I running nowadays for push week? So basically, what I'm going to be running is full crit verse, zero mastery. Now, why am I doing this? So, one, I just decided to test it out: flat damage reduction versus dodge. Which one's better? And honestly, I think crit verse is just better. It's a lot more healing. It's not a lot more healing. It's just a little bit more healing since I get a lot more verse than mastery. And yeah, it's just it's really high damage, really high survivability. It's a lot of self healing. The only issue is sometimes like keys like Brackenhide or Freehold might destroy you, but it is a little bit better than mixed damage keys. So if you have the ability to swap to a more heavy mastery set for Freehold and Bracken, those two keys are very heavy melee damage. Trinkets. So on Tyrannical Week, you want to be running Tree Mouse and either a Beacon, an Idol of the Spellweaver, and Ominous Chromatic Essence from the Raid, Mirror Fracture Torments, one of the DPS trinkets, or passive stat sticks on the off chance, or on the off. On Brackenhide, I would still run double defense trinket if you're unconfident in living. That's fine too. Now on Fort Week, to me, it's double defensive trinket, either Tree Mouse and Cheat, or Tree Mouse and Talisman of the Crag Shaper. I think those are the two best trinkets for defense. Fort Week, the reason we run this is because we are pretty susceptible to dying on Fort Week. Brew takes a lot of damage on Fort Week. So we're going to be looking to run those double defensive trinket setups. Tyran Week, we're a lot less scared. We're pretty tanky. And yeah. All right, let's get into talents. So for Tyrannical Week, I'm going to be running this setup. This is going to be the full setup. You can swap out Close to Heart for AoE damage reduction on the group if you want. So go start Generous War if you want. It's completely up to you. But I'll be running this on Tyrannical Week. On Fort Week, we'll see how this works. I'm going to test this on Fort Week, but I'm going to run this on Fort Week as well and see if it's good. This one, it's just strong right now, and two, it is it's going to be very good next season playing with the new 4 set, which we'll get into when M+ testing starts. Between Training of Nizao and Light Brewing, I think Training of Nizao is still better most of the time. It's a mix of damage and survival, while this is just pure survivability. And even then, this ends up being a lot of survivability on its own. Bob and Weave and Blackhawks Brew, this is personal preference completely to me. So yeah, that's it for like the basic tips. This is just going to be my setup and what I think is the best setup for push week. So let's get into some higher level tips. So first off is going to be damage. The biggest damage tip I can give is make sure you're playing in statue. Statue ends up doing a lot of damage. I don't really have any examples, but the damage statue can do, if you keep an entire pole in it for the entire duration, it will be your top damage, if not like your second or third. It is insanely powerful if you keep mobs in it. So that's like the biggest number one tip. I know it's kind of a pain in the butt, but you really, really want to emphasize keeping them in your statue. That will add up to a lot of extra damage. Number 2 for damage is one. This is just really simple. Just RJW and Charred Passion's uptime. So RJW, you want to aim for about 93% active uptime. This is in combat uptime, about 93% throughout a key. And then Charred Passion's about the same, 93-94%. Outside of that, Blackout Kick now, since over all the buffs throughout the entire season, Blackout Kick, highest emphasis on damage, most like 100% highest emphasis on damage. And then Keg on when it's about to cap on charges, and then Spinning Crane Kick, use a lot of Spinning Crane Kicks. Bone Dust Brew on cooldown, and then Exploding Keg whenever you have a Bone Dust Brew on the target. Now, a little bit of nuance is when you're running PTA, right? So PTA, say you hit 10 stacks, but your Exploding Keg is coming up, or like you're like 8 or 9 stacks, and your Exploding Keg's coming up in like 5 seconds. you want to, before you hit 10 stacks, drop your keg, refresh a full charred passions, and then do not keg again to not waste your PTA stacks. Now, why do you do this? You have a 10% damage buff at 10 stacks of PTA, so you want to get your exploding keg out, your double spinning crane kick, and then you want to keg smash. That way you consume all the charges, but you got a big exploding keg damage window in with your PTA 10%. And that's really, really important. On boss fight, like on AoE, you don't really care about autoing. I think I changed this a while ago in the guide, but you don't really care about keeping the stacks up because the ramping damage is honestly more important to your overall than getting the extra getting the extra keg smash every 10 stacks. So, yeah, that's pretty much my biggest tips on AoE. Just get more used to using Blackout Kick on cooldown and using more spinning crane kicks, higher uptime on Charred Passions and RJW, and Statue is really, really important. Now, single target damage. The only really thing you care about in single target is keeping your 2 buffs up, Blackout Kick and RSK on cooldown, Blackout Kick, Rising Sun Kick on cooldown. Same thing with PTA. If you're about to hit 10 stacks, don't make sure you do not use it on keg, and make sure you get it on Rising Sun Kick. On single target, it's really, really important you get it on Rising Sun Kick. It's okay to hold Rising Sun Kick for like 4 seconds to get this off. Try not to spinning crane kick before you're about to drop your PTA Rising Sun Kick. The reason you do that is because spinning crane kick will consume Counter Strike, and Counter Strike benefits the RSK, the second RSK, with Counter Strike, because any effect that increases Tiger Palm increases this, or increases your RSK. And yeah, that's about it for damage tips. That's pretty much really everything you need to know. Just get used to using everything on cooldown, high uptime in your 2 buffs, statue, and make good use of PTA, like good choices with PTA. Make sure you're getting as much damage in those 10 stack windows as you can. Now, survivability tips. This is a really hard one. A lot of people suffer with really hard pulls. Like, I'll go into MDT and show you like a really hard pull. Like this pull, extremely hard pull for brew. Even this one, number 5 here, or any of the big freehold pulls. My biggest advice, it takes a little bit to learn, but trusting your stagger, and also so like this pull, for example, I'll just walk you through basically what I do. So I group up all these mobs, keg smash to group up to build shuffle, and then once they're all running in, I drop statue and press fort brew and 1 defensive trinket. So like say they're walking in, I fort brew and talisman right here, boom. So now I have a double defense layer going in, and I'll also Ox. So I'll have all 3 running. This gives me time to ramp up all my damage, and so you're like you're in danger, or you're like not in as much danger, but you're still taking a lot of damage. But you'll have that buffer to not die while you're setting up all your damage. Now, once your damage is going, like once you get your big opener out, your splitting keg out, it's just maintenance at that point. Like you got past the hard part, and you can focus on playing the stagger minigame. So now, once all your cooldowns are running out, you're still fighting these guys. You're just waiting for your health to dip, and then you purify, and you just keep rinsing, repeating that. You use purify to top yourself, and then use celestial brew, and then you refresh with black ox spray, and you just do it all over again. So once you get past the hard part at the beginning of the pull, then it's just playing the guy pins mini game. So I put a little, it's in the guide, I'll have the guide link in the description, but basically what you do is you pull your stagger, you don't over purify, you just wait till it gets really high. Then when you dip in HP, boom, you purify, you go to full HP. Now, if you're taking a lot of damage, you'll be expel harming in between those purifies just to top yourself. Defensively for blackout combo, you always want to be using every charred passions refresh. You're going to blackout combo breath of fire, and everything in between is keg smash for brew cooldown reduction. You'd never want to use it on purify or celestial brew. Ideally, you always want to use it on breath of fire or keg smash. If you're not comfortable using blackout combo, just run high tolerance. It's completely fine. Other defensive tips. Try to get Zen Med in more often. So I'm gonna show you guys a couple examples of like high value Zen Meds. So like Neltharis, for example. Any of these wardens, you can Zen Med a Blazing Slash. Really, really important there. I think this one has saved me multiple times. Highly recommend that one. Same thing with Reverberation Hammer from the Blacksmiths, rolling out of range and then Zen Medding a tick of this. Super high value, helps a lot. Neltharian's Lair, Zen Medding a Hulk, Piercing Shard, that one helps a lot. Like this ability right here helps a crap ton, absolute crap ton, helps so much. Oldemon, any of the casts, rolling out, Ring of Piecing and Zen Medding the Bleed, super helpful. Halls of Infusion, Ice Shards in the Dragon area from these guys, the little ice collars. Zen Medding those is really important. Zen Medding the what's it called? Focus Deluge. You want to Zen Med that. Vortex Pinnacle. There's not really much Zen Med here, but you get the idea. You know, find things that you can Zen Med, get it more on, get more use out of it. Next tip I have is Diffuse. So there's a couple dungeons where Diffuse is really strong. Oldemon has one. It has Ember on, so you want to reflect a Searing Clap. You wait for Searing Clap to hit you, then you reflect it, you get the debuff on him. The biggest dungeon is a little bit of a nuance here, so I'll create a new MDT for this. So every time you pull one of these guys, right, they have something called Wicked Embrace. Now, if you're the only person in range, it will go on you and you can reflect. On 4, on a high 4 key, this does 3 mil damage with 1 reflect. So if you're pushing a 28, 29 underrot, or even like 26, 27, just tell your team, like, say your team is like over here, right? Like your team goes over here, you pull this, you wait about 5 seconds, it debuffs you, you reflect it, and then you pull everything else. This guy will die about 15, 20, 30 seconds, or 15, 20 plus seconds faster than he normally would. That's fantastic. This guy's extremely deadly. It causes a lot of pain for the healer. So fantastic. You want to do that with this one, and this one. So you want to do it with both. You can do it with this one too, though it's not, I don't really do this one because it's not really worth it. It just takes too much time. And then on the last boss, you can diffuse. Basically, you want your healer to not dispel you. And if you want to get the most like if you want to get the safest, but most valuable, you do this at 7. So if for 7 stacks of Putrid Blood, then you diffuse. Do not diffuse when the light is out. So the Titan Keeper gives the light, the cleansing light around everybody. That will also cleanse the boss of the debuff you reflected. So you want to wait till for that light to just finish and then reflect. It has a very massive range too, so it's really hard for the group to outrange the boss with that light. And yeah, that's pretty much it for like really important diffuses. Freehold also first boss, like it's pretty good. You can reflect that as well. And yeah, Vortex is also one I think is kind of important. So these Gust soldiers at the beginning, if you let if your team, like, so say you go over here, right? This is the single or the double here. If you tell your team to stay out of range for this double, you can get a double rushing wind reflect, and that is so good. Again, does a crap ton of damage. Is similar to the Wicked Embrace. It just really shaves time on these mobs. And yeah, that's about it. I think that's all the really high level tips I have. I'll be making a routing guide, or not routing guide, but like push week routes, probably tomorrow. Yeah, but it'll probably be out tomorrow, but I'll make it tonight. So yeah, I hope that could help you guys. Hope it's pretty strong tips. Hope you understand more about brew. I'll be streaming a lot the next 3 weeks, or all 3 push weeks. I'll be playing a lot of brew, trying to get like 3.8k on brew. So hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will see you shortly, and I'll be doing a lot of PTR videos too. PTR videos, whenever M+ testing comes out and more info comes out, I'll be streaming a lot of that and making a lot of videos. So have a good one. Love you guys. Good luck in your push weeks.